Right, so I made a video about the Hijet over there. That one's an 83. This is a 1990. And although that's not really a long time, the Acty here feels light years ahead of that one as far as comfort and performance. That feels like a tractor. This feels like a car. Although depending on your personality type, the Hijet might be more your style. It's certainly cuter and gets more attention in that way. Where this blends as much as it can. Anyway, it always starts right up. It's cold because it has been running, but it'll run temperature-wise. I think it might have a minor exhaust leak, but it's not that big a deal. We're in my backyard where I like to be, and let's go for a drive. So yeah, if I haven't made it clear, I do love this van. And it's hard for me to be objective about it because I'm the sort of person that'll like a thing in spite of it being bad. So I know this is slow, I know it's small, I know it's unsafe, I just don't care. I like how it drives, I like how honest it is, and I like how unpretentious it is. And down here you also get, there's a little switch, and it just opens up a flap for fresh air that comes in from behind the headlight that's right in front of me, and it blows right up your leg. Whereas me and my friends like to call them crotch vents. So like I was saying earlier, sightlines are actually really good. So even though I'm on the right hand side and I'm making a right hand turn, I had no trouble seeing. And if you watch where I'm shifting, that's the pattern. 4 to 5. And the suspension is fairly firm, but it has a lot of travel. So like speed bumps and things, there's actually, well, a lot of travel in order to take that up. Too late. Alignment's good. Go straight. The thruster works too, but don't have many chances to use that where I live. And like I alluded to earlier, this is very approachable. If you were to drive, well, let me start over. I like things that I wasn't allowed to have. I recognize that's a big issue on why I like this so much. I like explaining to people what it is, and I like the practicality of it too, but I like the aspect of it being unique because it was something that we never got here. So a lot of other people will gravitate towards mid-80s and late 80s and early 90s turbo like sedans and coupes and things that Japan got that we never did. So like, you know, Soarers and not Cressidas, what do they call them? Crestas, Skylines, Evos, that sort of stuff. I do like those. However, that's a different group that you'll have looking at you or getting attention from. Something like this, everybody, including car guys and including old people and including kids, like this. It's approachable in that way. If you're driving something like an R32, it kind of just looks like a sedan. People will probably notice you're driving on the right-hand side, and then they'll go, oh, and enthusiasts will talk to you about it. And they're super cool. But driving something like this, you get attention from everybody. It's approachable. A lot of times when I'm out, because I like to have the windows open, and it's nice out here in Florida anyway, sometimes I'll get 3, 4, 5 people asking me about it at stoplights and things, even when I'm just making like a grocery store run or whatever. And like I said, this is my daily driver, so I actually use and drive this everywhere. Let's see, the alignment. Alignment's good. Gonna stop straight. See if the light's still green. It is. Turning radius is super tight. Parking it is really easy. Snaking it through areas that other people can't get to, again, extremely easy. The corner of the van is right here. Like my foot, it's inches away from the outside exterior. So knowing where to point it, at least on this side, is really easy. And I've never had any sort of issues driving on the right-hand side as far as like not knowing which lane to take or any of this sort of stuff that you might think happens. No, just the turn signal stocks. That's what gave me problems. And now I can switch back and forth because this isn't our only car. We also have a SC300 Lexus with a 5-speed manual. And that's usually our going out of the state sort of car. Because I probably mentioned it earlier, I don't take this on the interstate. It can do it, I just don't because of the total and complete lack of safety anything in here. You get seatbelts, so that's it. It's like that guy waved at me. I've never seen him before. Carpenters and construction type people too tend to look at this a lot, and I have had post office, postal workers ask me about it. See, if you're like doing a rural route or something where you're not provided with one of those LLVs, Grumman's, this would probably be really good. 4 bolts holding the seat on, you can take that out, make some sort of platform thing. You get a bunch of space back there, build some shelves. I do have this insured through Progressive, just under a normal policy. There's nothing weird or special about it at all. The issue with getting normal insurance on it though is getting their software to work with this not having a standard length digit VIN number. So I had to work with an independent agent who then will input the number with a bunch of zeros at the end, wait 24 hours, go back in and re-edit those zeros out. So my insurance policy does have the VIN. It's a chassis code down there. I think it's 8 digits. So my insurance policy, including the title for this, has the correct VIN on it. And it's a standard Progressive policy. I think the cost is slightly higher than something normal, but about the suspension, it's actually pretty compliant. The biggest issue I have is, and I kind of felt it back there, is the wheels being so small. Any lip that you have to go over, if it's smooth gradient, you're fine. If it's a lip, if that lip is any larger than, say, like a 1/4 inch, you'll feel it. Because again, your wheels are so small. And there's various rattles and things. There isn't any sound deadening in here. This is just fabric. It does block out the heat, which is nice. But just like little various rubber stops and things on the doors. I'm sure they're well worn by now. Don't stop in 4 ways. Delicious down here. The thing you'll see too is as you drive around, you'll see people lifting their phones up to take pictures of you, well, your van, probably. Parked there, I would have waited for you. Stop sign. how there's guys, Toyota guys, Honda guys, BMW guys. There's a subset of older people that wouldn't be considered car people, but like, you know, like an old couple in a Honda Pilot or an Odyssey or something. And they have brand loyalty in a way that manifests itself for them to ask you about this because it's wearing a Honda badge. It's kind of neat to see. Because while they're not enthusiasts, they still have something. Just an observation, I guess. These did come with automatic transmissions. They're quite rare. At least I've never seen them come up at auction as much as just the standard. I have to imagine they're total dogs to drive, because there's no power in here. And if you put it behind a slush box, oh, it's got to be painful. I guess we're changing lanes. Dang. So we'll go up a pretty steep grade here. Hitting 90k an hour. Not quite. But you notice I'm in top gear. I've still got a couple hundred RPM to play with power. And then anything after that will be slow gain in speed. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. Much else to say except it's completely pleasant to drive, and it's got it's like manual steering, and it feels very like connected. Like this isn't like a sports car or anything like that, but there's a certain I don't know, connection to the road. I realize it's a stupid tiny van, but it has something about it that if you like the engagement of driving, this feeds that. Things are mechanical, things are solid, things are well engineered, well built. Wrapped up in a little unique package. Unique, useful package. Go this way. Of any other vans here in Sarasota. I've seen a couple trucks before, But I've had a few guys come up to me and ask different questions. So like most people go, oh, what is it? How old is it? That sort of stuff. And then you explain to them from Japan. But I've also had guys in like full-size vans asking me the practicality about usability. And it's completely usable. Like, this isn't like a Fiat convertible or something from the 60s. Like it's a, well, maybe not heavy duty, but it's certainly capable of work. Its design was meant for that. It just happens to look weird and be totally unique in the United States, so it can fill that sort of niche for you if you'd like. But it's still usable. It doesn't lose any of the utility just because it's weird over here. So I've used this to haul concrete, furniture, went camping in it. It's useful. So anybody from a place like where I live, real soon it's going to be full-on snowbird season. And what that means for those of you guys that don't know is normally Sarasota, where I live, is about a third of the population that it'll be from November to May, because everybody comes down here and they live during the winter, and then they go back up north, and the whole idea is snowbirds because they're migrating. And so very shortly, out-of-state plates will easily outnumber any Florida plate. And people will complain about it, but we couldn't live how we live if they didn't come down here and spend their money, so I welcome them. I just tend to not drive during rush hour when they're here. Yeah. There's really not much else to say. If anybody has any questions about stuff, but say covered insurance, fuel, maintenance, usability, how easy it is to like live with, comfortable it is, easy it is to drive. Pretty much it. Yeah, I don't really have anything else. Stereo kind of sucks, but that would be expected then, wouldn't it? And Alito's a really long key, so I'm gonna pull off here. Maybe we can give a demonstration on what the turning radius is like. Let's see if we can make this. Oop, hit the grass a little bit, but not much. And because of your speed, or because of my speed, I do find myself waiting longer than I probably should have to for an opening in traffic in order to get in there. But as you can see, this isn't dangerously slow. Just drive defensively. Like, this is faster than a Beetle. More comfortable and easier to live with too, probably. It's faster than a bus, Volkswagen bus. summer months, if it's windy and you have these back windows up, the wind blows you pretty hard. So that's a thing. If you roll the windows down though, I guess the roof kind of acts like a weird little spoiler because you don't get blown around nearly as much if you have the windows down. I realize it's just surface area, but in the vans, I'd assume the trucks would be the same. It's a lot easier to get a hold of a truck. They made a lot more of them. Tend to be lax on the features though, so if you're after air conditioning, most of the time it won't even be functional. In my case, it just needed to be charged because there's certain hoses and things that air conditioning systems that the refrigerant will just naturally vent anyway, even if the system's totally working. So that was my deal. A lot of times the compressors will go bad, seals will go bad. But it's harder to get the trucks with air conditioning. You can, but it's more difficult. And it's also more difficult to get a truck with a 5-speed manual instead of just the standard 4. Just assume it has to do with the cost thing. And the trucks, since the wall is right here, I assume they're not as comfortable because you wouldn't be able to lean the seats back as far, maybe, if you're into leaning back further than you would normally be. That's allowed in one of the trucks. However, same engine, same steering box, same everything. These were also available in all-wheel drive. This one is just 2-wheel drive, but I don't need all-wheel drive. But they were. You could get the streets with all-wheel drive as well. Oh, I see. There, buddy. I knew that was gonna happen. But yeah, if you're at all remotely interested in these, I'm biased, but I say go for it. They're great. A reliable, totally unique, usable vehicle. So if you're like me and you're kind of vain, that's perfect. Don't have much to say on the non-Honda versions, simply because that's not what I have. But just be aware that I believe the Suzuki Everys and the Daihatsu Hi-Jets, of course, I think the vans are called the Atrias, something along those lines. They changed. They're more popular than the Acties in Japan. They're easier to get a hold of. I don't know how comfortable they are or what they perform like, because the only other one I have to compare is my 83 Hi-Jet. Like I said earlier, that feels really agricultural and low-tech compared to this. So maybe a modern one is different. But I like the idea of the engine being way back there in front of the rear wheels. It's further away, all the temperature and the heat and everything is back there, and the noise is back there as well. Is so low on this, or low enough, I guess, that every other car I've ever owned that's been a manual transmission, like I say, if I was turning right here, you drop it down to second, and that's the gear that you engage as you straighten out. In this, it's third gear that you're generally using in order to make a 90-degree turn. Fuel. Could probably go another 60 kilometers on that, maybe. Don't even believe this has an OBD scanner of any kind. There isn't any like computers in it. Carbureted, but that's done with solenoids and mechanical bits. Yeah, I don't know. And there is an English service manual that is a translation of parts of the factory service manual, because it's difficult to get factory service manuals in of these sort of things, even in Japanese. But there's a guy that did it and does them for other sort of things, so like Suzuki Everys and like Jimneys. If you don't know what a Jimny is a Suzuki Samurai, which is in Japan a K-class version, so it has to adhere to the same standards that this does as far as displacement. So it's basically a 660cc Suzuki Samurai with wheels that are in a little bit more because you're not allowed to stick out. Those are really popular too. And full four-wheel drive, low range, locking hubs, differentials, all that. But that manual is indispensable for me. You can find parts and things and diagrams and stuff on the internet really easily, but having a physical book that has those sort of things and like torque numbers and stuff directly from Honda is nice. James Denko, I think, is the guy who wrote them. He lives in Japan. Heavy, but it's not. When I first started driving it, I had the sensation that it was somehow like you're gonna tip. It's not gonna tip. There's no weight up here. All the weight is in line with the wheels. So the transmission, engine, and a bulk of the chassis is all down below. Fuel, fluids, everything is down there. There's nothing up here. So no, it won't tip over. To having small wheels, speed bumps like that, which are just plastic or hard rubber things that are laid across. Those are the worst in these because the lip is like an inch. You know how hard it is for these tiny wheels to hit that at speed and not feel it? Impossible. gripping video. Rev the balls off this if you'd like. There's just no point besides making a bunch of noise. It does sound good though. Normal speed bumps like that though, you can take at pretty decent speed. Maybe I lied about going 60 kilometers. Bottom out the suspension though. Looks like we'll get a demonstration of just what being really tiny means. I have to go past the garbage truck. No problem, not even a little bit.